All right. Okay. Last section here. So coming up is the next road crossing, and it's kind of interesting, as past Raith, the road crossings start to become more and more rare. It's one of the big challenges of doing this railway line, is once you get into the hinterland here, it's a lot less accessible. You see the base of telegraph pole there, which certainly creates, as I said, creates some issues trying to document this line. So we do have again the road, so that is Lab Lake Road, and then we have a spur that is sort of centered around the road here, and we will talk about it. Wow, the wind just started blowing. I think that's my I was for the while here I've been seeing this sort of glint, and it's my truck. Guess that makes sense. Okay, so I think this is where this logging spur starts. I think it's on this side. So here's the problem. It's not on any maps, which is very weird, because it was here for a while, and it just sort of doesn't, it sort of defies logic as to why it's not, that's why it's not on the map. So I'm not quite sure. So the spur here, and just to give you an idea, one of the things that I spent time doing this winter, between last year and through this winter, was basically trying to document all of the stations and the spurs and the sidings and all the flag stops and everything on this line. It's insane. I have a spreadsheet that's like a mile long, because you know, there were some that were here and then gone. There were some that names changed multiple times, including this one. So this spur, which is located at again, mileages are so hard to figure out, right? Because the initial spot, okay, it says that this is located at milepost 30.6, and so this spur was set up in 1927 to 1929. It was operated by the Hacquoil company, or the Hacquoil brothers. Again, milepost 30.6, which would again, hard to translate that into original mileage, 58 point something. And so it was a 17 or /19 car spur. So again, it changed in length, connected at the east end. So connected on this side. And then from 1955 to 1972, and that's why I said it doesn't make sense that it doesn't show up on a map, because there is a 1950s topographic map and there's a 1970s topographic map, and it's not shown on here. There was a spur operated at milepost 30.1. Now there's a half a mile difference. I'm guessing it's the same place, because I mean, it doesn't really make sense that they would put it in a different spot. And there are some mileage discrepancies in some of the sidings and stuff. So it was a 22 and then 20 car spur connected at both the east and the west end. And if you actually look at the map, you can kind of see something here on this side that kind of sort of bubbles out. And so I'm guessing that it's here, right? It's in this area here. But again, really trying to figure out where exactly, like I said, you kind of see something going out that way on the maps. I didn't check the LiDAR imagery, but I'll have a look at that as well. But in any case, before we do anything, let's show you the time, and if I see it on a map, I'll show it to you too. Okay, so there's something that kind of looks right up there. It doesn't really look like it connects to anything, but there's kind of this flat section right there, right? Just sort of up there. I kind of, before I went over and had a look at it, so there's this flat area that runs across there. Again, was that railway related? Was that, you know, something that was put in for vehicles? Makes it a lot more difficult to put on a map. I think I should have, I think there's a glitchy thing with the LiDAR. When I look at this area here, it doesn't show up well. Maybe that's why I didn't look at it on the LiDAR. But there definitely is something there. Okay, let's pedal. We just got to go a little bit further. So here's the road. Here's Lab Lake Road. Done 18 kilometers. And you can kind of see vestiges of logging here. Right? See some old tires here. Slash piles. My truck. Okay, we got to go a little bit further. I don't know if you can see something white in the background coming up ahead there. That's where we're going to. Again, you can see more remnants here of stuff, old piles of log and slash and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a telegraph pole, or at least a piece of one, coming up that I marked from last year. Where should she be? There she be. Oh, I don't think there's anything on it, but it's there in any case. I wonder, just out of curiosity, bottom end is shredded. Sometimes these things would have date nails in them, and the date nails were always curious because you could see when they were put in. I know on the other abandoned line in the area, decommissioned line, whatever you want to call it, on the Kinghorn, a lot of the poles were that was almost catastrophic, were put in the late 50s. My balance isn't as good as I think it is. I almost ended up with a wet shoe there. Hurt my hand. Ow. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to see the trace of anything here in terms of a spur. Looks like another piece of telegraph pole there. There's one here, right in the water. This looks like a piece of tie here, right there. Yeah. There's the, I thought that was the bottom part of the pole, but that's just the stump. But you can basically see part of the cross beam, two cross beams. No insulators. Yeah, there's it looks like a tie right there. I wonder if that's the spur right there. I don't know. Sometimes things just they jump right out at you. You can just like see right where things are. And other times they're not as obvious. So here you can see that this part of the grade is not very well traveled, and you're going to find out why. So again, we've done this section here already. We did that last fall, and you are going to see the loads of fun that we had when we did that. There's another pole there. I think the spur comes to an end here. You can see an old logging road. You can see some old piles of trees here. What is that? Just junk that people have thrown in here. Looks like some old carpets and stuff like that. All right, so this brings us to the end of our exploration for today. So again, we have done this next section already. There is a little trestle just on the other side of those two rocks there with the tie sitting across it. You can see here we pull out, you can see the Canadian Pacific Kansas City line right behind it. It's the Trans-Canada Highway. So again, we did this section last fall, and so you're going to pick things up, and then we're going to resume on the other side of this next section, on the other side of Linkle, on the other side of Dog River Road. So in any case, hopefully you enjoyed today's exploration and all the things that we saw. A lot of neat things to see around Raith. And again, we are going to be back tomorrow with the next section after this one, and so we will be very active for the next couple of weeks here doing hikes. So in any case, thanks for tuning in, and take care.